Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another creative sim for the Disney save. Today we are finishing up some of the last minute sims that I have to put into Mount Komorebi with a couple of frozen townies. And I did originally plan to create these guys before when we were doing a lot of the frozen themed videos, but I think that I got a little bit bored with Frozen. There was just a lot of content regarding it back to back, and I was really excited to move on to Mulan, which meant that the townies got skipped. And I do normally save townies until the end of the world creation anyway, but for Mount Komorebi I kind of made an exception where I was sort of doing them in between builds, and I think I like that a lot better. But two characters that we did not get to create were Hans and the Duke of Weselton, and they are both going to be, like I mentioned, townies for Mount Komorebi, mostly because they do not technically have residentials, and although Hans is a major character for the first movie, he doesn't really need a place to live to have the same character development, I feel, and you can just as easily move him into the Arendelle Castle if you really wanted to do something with his storyline or have him be a part of the storyline in a more direct way. But I thought it would be fun to still make sure that he was included, so we're going to be starting with him today. Now, Hans is a traditionally good-looking person, I would say, so right off the bat, always a little bit intimidating when I know that I'm going in with a character that doesn't really have super exaggerated features or anything about them that is going to be super easy to replicate. I think that the thing that is the most easy to replicate is obviously the fact that he is just like a good looking, slightly reddish brown hair, green-eyed person. He definitely has specific hair and a specific beard, but one of the things that we faced as a challenge right off the bat was the fact that he technically has like auburn hair, and even though we did recently get an update that gave a couple of more hair colors in the game, we still don't really have auburn. Auburn is like somewhere in between red and like a light brown, and I would say it's like that hair color that sort of changes depending on the lighting. So as you can see in the video, I was sort of starting out in the beginning with him having red hair, and my Twitch chat was kind of like, I thought he had brown hair, which I went back and forth on a little bit, but I do think that ultimately changing him to the brown hair does make him a little bit more recognizable, and I think I am using one of the newer hair colors. There's like this one that was a light brown that I felt like had some goldeny honey undertones to it, so it's probably about as good as we currently have for like an auburn hair. And the other thing that was a little bit of a struggle is the fact that this is definitely his beard type, but the way that the Sims has it comes way too far down the face, so more of his chin definitely should have been exposed, and it's just so close but so far at the same time. So it has this like resemblance to Hans, but it's like this Sims version of the resemblance. Like there are just minor things that if I could change, I think it would 100% have knocked it out of the park. But I wasn't as worried about it considering that he is a townie sim, and I would say generally speaking I am not as concerned when it comes to townies, even though like I mentioned he is definitely a main character. It's just a little bit more relaxed, so I think I could easily let it pass for maybe just this one time. Now as far as his clothing, I would say when it comes to like any movie, I try to keep what the Sims are wearing within the same packs so that they all kind of coordinate and match together. And for Frozen, we did a really big combination, I feel, of like vampires, romantic garden stuff, a little bit of Snowy Escape with some of the Mount Komorebi things, and obviously Anna and Elsa have probably the biggest mix of clothing considering that they have so many outfits from various movies, and I tried to give them a ton of outfits across the board. So they probably have the largest mix of clothing, but generally speaking, this is kind of the look that we went with, and it was a little bit tough for Hans because he wears like this white cropped jacket, and we did have one suit from Vampires that was a white jacket, but it was not cropped, and it kind of was just maybe slightly too old-timey for the movie, but considering that it's one of the only options that we have, I do feel like it was one of the most appropriate choices. And then funny enough, Vintage Glamour, I believe it is, adds the butler, and there is a special outfit that goes with the butler, and I do feel like that is one of the closest in shape that looks according to the movie, but it just makes him look like a butler. So as is the typical case when we can't figure out what we're going to do with Sims and outfits, I will give them a couple of choices so that if you liked one better than the other, all three options are there. But at the end of the day, I felt like this one shirt, I think this is from Backyard Stuff or Romantic Garden Stuff, looked very similar to what he wears underneath his jacket. So it's almost like a jacket off look. And that is basically Hans. These two will probably live separately. I don't think they will be in one household together when you're looking for them in the world, just so that you know. But we are moving on to the Duke of Weselton. And right off the bat, I think people are going to want to know if I'm making his two bodyguards, and the answer is probably not. I do want to preface that The Sims does actually limit how many Sims you can have in a save file, and if you override that, it will start auto-deleting Sims, and that's something that I really don't want to do. So although these Townie Sims are really fun to create, I am slightly getting worried that I am creating too many of them, and we're going to have to get to a point where I have to start getting rid of a few of them. Now, obviously, some of them are really easy to just kind of get rid of. I made some characters for Belle's Village and named them like villager characters and things like that. Those ones could go pretty much right away, and there is like a running list in the back of my head of if we have too many Sims, this is who would go first. So including those characters that are like bodyguards or henchmen to characters that are also side characters in a movie really didn't feel like the best choice for me, so I am going to go ahead and skip them this time around. And if by some chance we didn't have enough Sims, which I don't believe to be the case, but if we didn't, I could always obviously come back here and add a couple of them. And I think what I'm also going to do is throw some Sims up on the gallery. So I think that I want to make a few that won't by default be included in the world, but I'll add them on the gallery just in case you want like my version of them for the save file. If you're going to be playing a certain storyline and you want a specific character, maybe you can pop into the gallery and actually check out and see if I have made that character, considering that they're not necessarily a big part of that movie, but they might still be available. And one of the ones I can actually think of off the top of my head, this is a little bit of a weird scenario, but Hades and Maleficent are known to have a child according to the Descendants movie, and I know for a fact that if you mate my version of Hades and my Maleficent from Forgotten Hollow, you are definitely not going to get Mal from Descendants. So I've decided that at some point I would like to make a version of her and probably throw her up on the gallery as like a teen. So that would be a really great example of that. And if I do start removing Sims from the save file, which like I mentioned, we're not at that point yet, but it is just something I'm kind of thinking about in the back of my head, I would probably keep all of them up on the gallery still. So just look for them there if you have seen them in a previous video and you're kind of keeping your eyes out for that. I am sorry that this video is a little bit late. It is super, super hot, and I'm sure that many of you are experiencing this, but to even turn my AC off for a few minutes so that I could do some clean audio was a pretty big decision, and as a result, it's a little bit of a late video. I've had to cancel streams and everything because it's just so hot. I cannot have my PC running for long periods of time, let alone turn off my AC so that I can do audio. So I hope that you guys understand if things are a little bit sporadic as we get through this heat wave, but I wanted to kind of update you guys and let you know that over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be working on getting Forgotten Hollow and Mount Komorebi tested, and that means 2 tour videos that should be coming out over the next few weeks as well. I also do stream on Twitch. It is linked down below, and that will probably include a lot of maintenance for testing and getting all of that stuff done behind the scenes. Any Townies that I forgot, any replacement lots. There is a lot based around the North Thuldra that I'm supposed to be doing for a replacement lot for the Arendelle village. So those kinds of things. And to answer another really popular question, a lot of you have wanted to know if I'm going to be moving Belle's Village from Willow Creek. And the answer is most likely. And I will likely be replacing those lots as well. So the newest versions of the save file downloads will probably still include the old Belle's Village in Willow Creek, but at some point when we do get Hemford on Bagley and I can actually see it physically, and when I can actually play with it and move the lots there, I will have to go ahead and replace all of the lots from Willow Creek that we are moving. And it's actually 5 lots that are based around Belle's Village. I want to move them all together. That is kind of my one stipulation, that if we're moving the village, it all has to go together as a set, because I think that all of the builds kind of coordinate together, and I really want to make sure that they move together. And then the other main thing is just like replacing the lots and what are we going to put there. And we're kind of in the planning process of that right now, but I've been talking a little bit about Dumbo, some Disneyland or Disney World references references, whether it's like a New Orleans Square reference or I've talked about Main Street of some kind, although I kind of have a feeling I have a different spot for Main Street. But those are a couple of ideas, as well as possibly doing some more Princess and the Frog, like maybe giving Mama Odie her actual house from the movie and removing her from being a townie to giving her an actual residential. Because if I do move all of those characters, it does take a lot of residential out of Willow Creek, and it would almost be nice to be able to balance it by putting a couple of residential back in. So that's the plan, and let me know what else you would like to see in Willow Creek. If I missed anything, if you have any really, really great ideas for things that you'd like to see in that area, since it does look like I'm going to be opening up that spot and have some space for it, let me know in the comment section down below. As far as the Duke here, it was not a too difficult process, just because of the fact that he is one of those characters that has sort of an exaggerated face with the larger nose, and he is known in the movie to have a toupee, and he has the one scene where he loses the toupee, so we thought it would be funny to add an additional outfit where his hair seems to be off of his head. And he has to have, of course, the gloves for all the outfits, and we're basically going with the same outfits that we did for Hans, with these vampire outfits and some boots to kind of match. And that is going to be these two characters. Let me know what you thought of them in the comment section down below. If you would like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link in my description box down below or the one at the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time I post. And I will talk to you all in the next one.